So specifically, we are all leaders in our own way, right? No matter you're working as an entrepreneur, some of you are working in a corporate here, entrepreneur, having your own startup, working in a large company, agency, etc. We are all leaders in some way, and change and working with change is part of our day-to-day jobs, right? So specifically today, I'm going to focus, because we only have 20 minutes, I'm going to focus on great leaders are effective change facilitators, and specifically on how to get buy-in for change. It's very easy to say, let's change. Yeah, but then what is the most important thing? Buy-in. And some of you are also coaches, so I can understand doing, right? So let's go through. I'll share some of my examples and a mental model or a framework I have, but I'm sure you might have, so we can exchange that in the Q&A part. So that's the focus for today, yeah? I hope we're on the same page now. Quick question. There is a word called facilitator. Anybody here who would like to share a difference between being a facilitator or being a consultant or being a coach?
So that's about your opinion.
Say again?
So that's about your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about creating the environment for them to bring input.
Very right. Sai, right? So Sai, because we are recording as well, so I'm going to just confirm. Sai should have been here. So creating the environment, less about your opinion, but about others, right? Anything else? Any other difference you see?
Facilitation is about allowing everybody to express themselves and make sure that everybody's voice is heard, and then everybody's voice is unified into whatever next steps.
Absolutely.
Very different from consulting, which is just
Yeah.
pricing.
So consulting is largely advice. You're paid to give your best advice based on data or whatever. There's a good word you used, which is about unifying. So in my world, I also call it connecting the dots. As a facilitator, it's not just enough listening to people, and you have to know the background. You need to have a sense of how point A said by Mark or point B said by Sai connects and moving things forward, yeah? Okay. We are in the PDF world. So the next 20 minutes, next 20 minutes is now next 15 minutes. Yeah? Very simply, three things I would like to cover. First, even if you can't read, it's fine. Do we need a change? In any context, the key is why. Do we need a change? And I use the analogy of melt. Yeah, so I'll be using the analogy of ice cubes throughout today, yeah? Melt. Why do we need a change in any context? It could be a home situation dealing with kids, or it could be work, it could be difficult bosses, or selling your product in a new market, yeah? Why change? The second part is, where do we actually want to make that change? We can't just walk in and say, we want to change this entire coffee shop right now, but why? There's a lot of money involved, and maybe we have to break it down into which part of this coffee shop that needs change. That's also very important. And number 3, which I'll talk about, pardon for the font color, it is what mental model. I would just like to leave you behind today with just one mental model, because there are many, something you can take away and say, which can help me to get buy-in. Because if I have the buy-in with the right people, I'm able to influence and create that environment, yeah? So, I would like to do an experiment. It's like 5 minutes, so be patient. Yeah? So the experiment is very simply, do we all have to sit here? Should we just go out on the street and huddle and walk and discuss this topic?
Too loud.
Shall we? Let's try. You just killed the idea.
Didn't get buy-in.
It's okay.
You didn't meld it.
Why?
Okay. Anybody else? Shall we? I want to go. Let's go. Seriously. Who's ready to come with me? Oh, you're actually coming. Okay. Now,
So that's what you want to do.
it's okay. I'm doing a very small exercise, but this can be a very good long exercise. Just hold on. Be patient with me, yeah? Okay. Go. The queue is here. You can start now.
Okay.
No, you need to you need to convince the people behind you.
So hi Chinese people, okay, please follow me, okay?
Oh,
Okay,
I didn't say that, huh? I didn't say Chinese people. It's okay, it's okay.
Okay, help me, okay? Follow
Help,
me.
she said help. Help her. You should help her.
Follow me.
You can go ahead.
Okay, I know everybody is in their comfort zone and everybody is resisting to change. This is human nature. However, if we change the environment and we stand outside and have this conversation, blood will circulate better to our brains and we will have a lot more interaction because the environment in which we are right now is a bit limiting, right? We have tables, we have chairs, we cannot interact very well. So if we move outside, just outside the coffee shop, we're still near, but we can have our drinks. It's kind of like being in an evening bar, having our drinks, but also having meaningful conversations. So who would like to
But
go
why we just
outside?
gonna stand up here? I think there is more space than outside. Sorry. We can stand up.
As you stand here, there's
Who got more influenced by her? It's an exercise, yeah? But then you need to show with your body language. You need to almost get up, even if you don't want to go out.
I don't want to catch the attention from police officers.
Okay, I think you got the point. Thank you so much, guys. That was an example. Thank you.
Sorry, I failed.
No, not at all. You had your own style. Did you guys observe? Okay, I shouldn't even give the comment. You guys should tell me. What was the observation? Anybody, one person. What was the observation in these three examples? When I said versus when she said versus when she said. Thank you so much, by the way. Yeah. Any observation
The
from?
lady over there gave a great presentation, but not enough to just convince anyone.
Still not convinced? Good.
Give the facts in here and outside. The more just comfortable place would be this place.
Okay.
Outside.
Any other thought? Or let me rephrase. If you had a chance, how would you have done it differently?
To give a background, I'm an environmental psychologist, so I look at how different environments, both physical and social, influence human behavior, mind information, anything about human behavior. The reason why my presentation wasn't convincing enough, one, I wasn't sitting in the front to kind of you all see me. Two, there's too many people who were sitting, and I was the only one standing. So because there was nobody, it was a relationship. I'm the one talking, you're all standing. If someone else in the audience would have stood up, you would have felt the urge. Okay, I'm not the first one. I'm not the only one. Not all people will judge me, and so you would have felt safe. So I think for me, the whole idea about change management is whether people are safe enough, feel safe enough to not be judged, to not be, blamed, and so on.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
Can I add on my observation? And I think another factor is about the cultural differences, which means usually Asian people, all the Chinese people will follow the teacher or trainer or facilitator's instruction usually. But the Western people won't. They always have they don't giving any authority. But unfortunately, I didn't convince our fellow. I'm not sure why.
You know why? Because he's Japanese.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Guys, let's continue this.
One thing that
Sure.
we're missing is that nobody knew why this was happening.
Yes.
Like, we can go outside, but what
Exactly.
what's happening?
Exactly. So thank you so much, all of you. We'll continue this if we have more time in the networking. Sure. Exactly. So in my experiment, I purposefully did not, because otherwise, if we had time, when I do a full-on workshop, right, usually I will find a way, like she was trying to do success almost there, I wouldn't even said, come out in that way I said. That was on purpose. I would have found a different way. And I probably would have gone out with some of you. I'm giving an example. And said, hey, guess what? I've seen something outside. Let's go and actually do this session live under the tree. Again, I'm just making this up, right? So the objective is really that if the intention for me is to give a presentation on how to get buy-in, And the one way is the way I'm doing right now, because that's the setup already provided by Founders Breakfast. The other is if I thought, oh, there is a different way, which is, let's say this. You know, you can actually do, like, take a cue from how people do learning expeditions, right? How you actually go and take a walk and learn together. Imagine if I had done a setup where with the founders team, we would have never even sat under this coffee shop. We were directly met at Fuxing Park. We do the mentors walk with the women entrepreneurs and leaders in Shanghai. We never even meet in a coffee shop. We always meet in a park at Friday at 7:30 or 8 in the morning. So imagine, again, the point is if you want people to understand the why the change, you have to let them experience both the side of this pain, or so boring to stand in front of a PPT and talk about it versus experiencing it. It's as simple as that. So just wanted to make a point. And I think somebody said not just why, but also what is out there which will be different, right? So imagine giving that experience that in the fresh air. And I think you did a good job of painting that visualization of the, but fresh air, or it'll help get the blood flow going, etc., right? So question, oh, I think we covered that already. We're sitting with a bunch of very smart people. Okay, question again. Do you think because in this context I was trying to do an experiment, was I leading change of everyone's view? Raise of hand. Why?
I think you were trying to do this. You really changed your mind.
You're trying to be the facilitator, not the leader.
That's also correct, and that's also correct. On purpose, I was creating the environment where I don't come across as a change facilitator. Because if I say, come, you have to change, you have to get out of this room, you will question why. Who are you, right? So again, look at this question and look at the next question. There is a reason. Was I or you in your context trying to lead a change of the view, or was I leading progress on everybody's view? And this is just my learning. I'm sure you have your own learnings, but for me, change is not about a switch on and switch off button. It is about progress, right? Even to have a change, getting your kids to sleep on time, it won't happen just by switching off the button of the room light, right? It is a progress over time. So same, to get difficult people in your team to work with you is also part of change management, for an example. And to get buy-in, it's progress. So just that's one. And the reason I tried this three people experiment in a short time is also to demonstrate that sometimes the progress does not have to happen in one time. It needs to be broken down. So again, as a lot of coaches in the room will also know, and you know, everything linked to even facilitation and change management is really about perspective shift, right? We cannot expect to sell a new product to a client or a new pitch proposal or get the right resources unless we find a way to create that perspective shift. And change leaders really, in every context, have to be the ones moving the perspective shift. So that's why I personally love the analogy of the melt. You know, before you want to even frame an ice cube in a way you want, or get people to believe in a certain way of thinking and viewing and doing something, you have to first melt and be in a different context, right? Maybe if we did not even meet in this room, or when we came in this room this morning, maybe we would have never set up this projector here. We would have just said, hey, let's grab our go-to coffee cup and let's go out for a walk. So melting helps, and that is why the why comes in place. Nobody will want to do, and if I would have said, you know what, today there is no traffic. Shanghai has banned all traffic on this street. It's going to be a walking street. It's so beautiful. And I have invited an expert from United Nations, from Beijing, and he will, It's a real example, but yeah. and he would be sharing how to navigate and facilitate change with the government bodies in Beijing. Let's meet. He's waiting for us outside. And the learnings he has, I don't have, you don't have. Let's hear him. Right? That's where the why comes. Then why? That's why we need to get out of this room, because we have somebody who will share with us. So sharing the picture is very important. Not just saying, hey, let's change because we will want to improve our bottom line, etc., and therefore we should change. No, we need to paint the picture. Yeah, that's the summary of the first part. In my real workshops, actually, I carry ice and all of that. I didn't bring today. But you can try. So, one more question. In this small experiment, where was the change or progress being seen? If you had to break down in your head, have a hypothesis of this small experiment, where do you think we were trying, or I was trying, to create that change or progress?
People raise the concerns.
Okay. People raising concerns. A lot of you asked why, and okay, that's people's concern. What else? From my perspective, if I'm the one doing presentation and I want you guys to learn better or absorb better or inspire you guys, in that cycle, where was the change?
Gradual, like you started with trying to get us out there, and then you added one extra element, like leading, and then you added the element of like convincing, so that was trying to get step by step.
Right. Okay, there is some hint there. Anybody who wants to build on Murray, right? I'm pronouncing it. Okay, but in that, take the cue from her. In that step-by-step process, where was I trying to create the change? Was it clear in that process of creating a more impactful presentation or inspiring you guys more? Where did I want to, or where would you like to see the change? Forget about me. What would have inspired you more to absorb today's content better?
I think what you have done, you also have inspired the insiders that they start to move the crowd with you inside. You know? So this was not only driven by you, but also from the crowd itself.
Very good point. So this is one very interesting point. And again, especially working in China, and again, I'm telling you very honestly, when I came to China, I had a culture shock as well. It was very difficult. I had days when I was crying. I was like, what am I doing wrong? My team wouldn't want to work with me the way I was used to working, let's say. And then we went all a different way of working. And one of the things was really that to get buy-in in China specifically, we have to avoid, let's do this or do that. You have to get more of the mobilization from the people around. So this is where I call moving towards mold. So imagine the ice cube analogy. You have melted. Now you have the choice what mold you want to choose to put it in. Do you have the fancy ice cubes, or do you have just glass of water you put in the freezer? You'll get a big ice cube. So it's up to you what mold you want to put the ice on. So if you guys can see the screen, you guys covered a part of it. I'll come here. So the change and the perspective I was trying to demonstrate, and I would like you to choose between eventually, is the environment. Because my objective is what? My objective is to land the right inspiration. Right? I came with the objective to land the right inspiration. I believe doing this format is very boring, let's say, where you are actually standing in one corner and talking to so many people. So if I had to redo this all over again, would I have to relook and change the environment, or the format, or the participants, or the content, or the sponsor, or the champions? Just a few examples. So you,
First two.
yes, okay.
What do you have control of?
Good question. What do you have control on? Because I can't change the sponsor. The sponsor is fixed.
How does he go to Hangzhou?
How do you define environment here? Because I personally believe that we have a different definition of the environment.
Sure, but that's a great question as well, because it depends on context. If you were consulting in a again, in this coffee shop brand, your definition of environment will be very different. But if you were maybe in a school, it will be a very different context. So that's, I don't know.
For me, the definition of the environment is the same everywhere because so in my field, I look at environment from two perspectives. One is physical, one is social. So the reason why I asked this is because the rest are part of the environment for me. So the sponsors are part of the environment because they're people and structures as part of that environment. The champions are also people. They just have different identities. So for me, the environment is just a system which has physical location, furniture, sound, and so on, but also the people with their various identities, the relationships, and so on. So that's why I was asking.
No, so maybe my definition is same, but I just added one more layer. When I gave the example of a school or a coffee shop, it was more, the basic logic of environment is the same, but the actual setup in a school room versus a coffee shop, that's what, but you're absolutely right, yeah? So, not to prolong this, but the answer all of you gave is right, but I don't think we have to define it because it will depend on what is the objective. Now, we are a loose group here today. If I was doing the same thing for Starbucks or I was doing for Unilever or like specific client of mine, then I would really customize a lot for that specific. But today we are from at least 15 different industries today. I asked most of you, 15 different or 10 different industries and different backgrounds. So it's impossible to agree on the right environment, right? So go ahead.
Or maybe also add the timing here.
Ah,
Because,
very
you
good.
talk to the right people in the right format, but people just are not ready because they just woke up or whatever.
Very, very good. Thank you. I shall add. Very, very good point. So in this way, I'm just making this up for right now because like Marie said, what was in my control? If I had a choice to redo this with a group of strangers who I don't know, most of you, some of you I know, if I had the intention of challenging myself with the format, because that's in my control, then I would have convinced you and said, you know what, today we will actually do it in the nearest park, Fushing Park, for example. And I will have brought props with me and I would have just done it as a circle, for example. The other thing, which I love what you said, and I call it champions, but you can call it whatever you want. These are like internal change agents. It's not even the sponsor. It is not even the participants. It is a champion, like the two ladies who volunteered today. Maybe they are the change agents or the champions because they have the right personality or the goodwill or whatever to do it. So sometimes leaders, you don't have to do everything yourself. You have to find the right people and know what is the connection between them to be able to influence change. So change is all about influence. So again, just a picture to make the point that the mold is important, right? There are thousands of mold. Actually, when I showed this picture in one of the workshops, somebody challenged me, which I loved. That's what I was waiting for. So if you had to challenge, in the interest of time, I'll challenge myself right now. Why does the mold have to be in the traditional ice, what do you call it? Ice cubic, yeah. Why? There must be different ways.
Storage in the freezer.
Sure. Does it have to be square?
It doesn't have to be, it's just what people are used to.
Oh my God. Exactly. So Mark said a very important sentence. Mark, speak loud again.
It's what people are used to, so that's
Exactly.
the what it should be.
Change, why change in a lot of contexts is difficult because we are used to a certain thing. But if we provide them with some stimulus, if I had to make my own, if I don't find on Taobao, by the way, these days the round ones are very popular, right? One with the whiskey.
Yeah.
I love that. I just put even in my water, but but 5 years ago, I never saw that online. Now you see it. So the whole idea is I believe in the idea of stimulus, and again, I'm sharing from my experience. People don't know what they don't know. If they have not experienced it, if I would have said, you know what, forget about the park, forget about the coffee shop, you come to my house today. I live one block away. I don't mind having 20 people. Maybe it would have shocked you, but maybe I would have arranged something so special to experience and to do the same topic in my house. Like, wow, that sounds interesting. So creating that stimulus is in the change leader's hand. You cannot just give a PPT and say, let's change. So again, giving the stimulus in the environment and the raw materials to be able to say, how can we mold that new ice cube? So coming towards the end, as I said, mold is important. And then comes the last point, the third point, which is all about shape. Assuming you have done the molding, you have convinced. If I would have done it differently, I would have convinced, you know what, let's go to my home or the park or whatever, and we'll do this talk there, assuming that. What is the last one? What do you observe from this picture vis-a-vis the previous pictures? Besides location, the hint is shape, right? Application. Application. And application happens in a specific context with a certain kind of people. So, if I create that context with a group of strangers, I'm just using strangers as or cross-industry people who are here, versus if you were all from the same company. So you're from Cartier. Imagine if we were not a bunch of people, we don't know each other, versus everybody here is from Cartier. Can you imagine the level of absorption or questioning would have been different? And the context would have been different. The shape will be different. Maybe we wouldn't even do it in a coffee shop, we would have done actually in the Cartier store. So that's very important. How you serve it, how do you actually do it? And the key thing here is who is involved. So to give a new shape, so melt, what was the second? Mold, and a new shape. And new shape has to be given that freedom to the people who can actually drive it for you. A lot of time we do the mistake of saying, oh, we will take responsibility, we will do ourselves. No, you don't have to do everything yourself. Again, I'm just sharing from my example, and then the key word here is putting into the hands of the right people. What do you mean by the right people? What do you think I mean by the right people? Champion. What else?
People believe in that passion. People believe in it.
You know, when I woke up this morning and I was having tea and I was almost getting ready, and I just went to Instagram today after a break, right? And the first thing I saw on my feed was Steve Jobs talk exactly on that passion. If we don't have oh, hi Minesh. If we don't have the passion, nobody will put in the investment of hard work and say, we have to change. Why? I'm comfortable what I'm doing. So the last point really is the mental model I want to share behind. I'm happy to share this actually in the WeChat group, or if one-to-one. This is no rocket science. Many of you already might know, but it's important when I explain to you what I mean by the mental model of color energy. And I think it was a little bit touched upon. I'm a big believer again of when you want to give shape to something, it is not you deciding the shape or you saying, you know what, I want you and you and you to be involved. You might say, no, but I don't want to be involved. So the first thing, what I usually do, and this is where as a facilitator, it is little tiring if it's a very intense change management project versus a training, versus a coaching. Because as a facilitator, you really have to understand, and I'm sorry if it's not fully clear because of the distance, but essentially what it means is everybody has different personalities and different energy levels, right? So what this thing does is it divides in 4 parts. Blue, as you can imagine, blue is all about the cool and the calmer set of people. The red are the fiery ones, very competitive, very demanding, go-getters. And every organization and team has this kind of people. The other one is the green, caring, encouraging. And the other one is sunshine, sociable, dynamic. I think you touched upon the social connections also, or the energy. Now, if we have to do a change, and there are about 20 people in the room, did you see the reaction in the beginning when I asked? Some of the people were instantly challenging, why? I won't go. Some, okay, thinking. Some maybe try. Like, did you see that there's a difference? It's normal. So the first thing to remember is that you can't expect the whole team and the whole organization to start changing at your speed. And that is why statistics show, I think 80 or 85% of the change management initiatives fail. Because you're trying to move the mountain instead of move the stone. And again, if we can just remember that change is not about the process as much as about the people, that is a good cue. So keeping in mind, so what I do sometimes, if I don't have the luxury of the project timeline or the resources and the money to do a proper understanding of the different colors of the people in that team, I just do a judgment call, right? So I just go to the sponsor and understand, can I just do stakeholder interviews? And you can do the same to understand. And you might have the judgment and say, you know what, I know that this assistant of the CEO, and I am telling you from real example, and maybe you've seen that, she is very influencing, she's an influencer. She has a very good relation with the head of HR as well and the head of procurement. And it's not a favor, it's not something shady, it's professional, but I know she's got the leverage. And she falls into the sunshine, sociable. I need to involve her. And I have done that, I'll be honest. When I figured out, oh, it is not about the title, it's about the people who have the influence. Then you involve them in a certain role. And then you might find somebody who is strong-willed and purposeful. So that's why when I do innovation, and if you guys are doing change or innovation, you will see not everybody in the organization, the team, has the same level of energy and commitment. So you need to find, that's why role of corporate innovators or innovation heads or they have to be high risk takers. You cannot just take a successful VP of digital and say, now you become the head of innovation, because that person might be risk averse. So just my last takeaway, understand the color energy, get the right people, small, even two, maybe it was just the two ladies here today, and if I would have pre-worked with them. So just imagine in your head, and this is what I do, and you might have done the same. I never enter a project deliverable without having to mobilize certain people and pre-align, like half bake the dish before you walk into the room. So ideally, if I had to redo this, and I know that if I knew that 3 of the people or 4 of the people actually here, I know from past, like I know you guys, 4 of you, I would have engaged them, or I would have built the relationship in the 2 weeks or 3 weeks with them and say, you know what, I would love you to play this role, or what do you think, would you like to? I would have pre-engaged. You might have got some better suggestions than I had, and you would have said, no, let's do it this way. Then when we walked in the room, it is not just me, it is the 5 of us. Not even the team, because sometimes then that also becomes tricky. You don't want to come across as unified. You are like, what's the right word? Yes. But ambush is a little strong,